Today we continue to read the Bible in Exodus chapter 22, protection of property. Whoever steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in at night and is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happened after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. Anyone who steals must certainly make restitution. But if they have nothing, they must be sold to pay for their theft. If the stolen animals is found alive in their possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, they must pay back double. If anyone grazes their livestock in a field or vineyard and lets them stray, and they graze in someone else's field, the offender must make restitution from the best of their own field or vineyard. If a fire breaks out and spreads into torches, so that it burns stalk of grains or standing grains or a whole field, the one who started the fire must make restitution. If anyone gives a neighbor silver or gold for safekeeping, and they are stolen from the neighbor's house, the thieves, if caught, must pay back double. But if the thief is not found, the owner of the house must appear before the judge, and they must determine whether the owner of the house has laid hands on the other person's property. In all cases of illegal possession of an ox, a donkey, a sheep, a garment, or anyone lost property about which somebody says, "This is mine," both parties are to bring their case for the judge. The one whom the judge declares guilty must pay back double to the other. If anyone gives a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any other animals to their neighbors for safekeeping, and it dies, or is injured, or is taken away while no one is looking, the issue between them will be settled by the taking of an oath before the law. Thus, the neighbor did not lay hands on the other person's property. The owner is to accept it, and no restitution is required. But if the animal was stolen from the neighbor, restitution must be made to the owner. If it were torn to pieces by the wild animal, the neighbor shall bring in the remains as evidence and shall not be required to pay for the torn animal. If anyone borrows an animal from their neighbor, and it is injured or died while the owner is not present, they must make restitution. But if the owner is with the animal, The borrower will not have to pay. If the animal were hide, the money paid for the hide cover the loss. Social responsibility. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleep with her, he must pay the bride price, and she shall be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price. For virgins, do not allow the sorceress to live. Anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Do not mistreat or oppress a foreigner, for you were foreigners in Egypt. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless, widows of the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I will certainly hear their cries. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with sword. Your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal. Charge no interest. If you take your neighbor's clothes as a pledge, return it by sunset, because that clothes is the only covering your neighbor's head. What else can they sleep in? When they cry out to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. Do not blaspheme. Do not blaspheme God or curse the ruler of your people. Do not hold back offerings from your granaries or your vats. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day. You are to be my holy people. So do not eat the meat of an animal torn by wild beasts. Throw it to the dogs. Today we learn two parts. One about the protection of property, and another about the social responsibility. One, God teach Israel about how he care about the property of the people. We can see God set the rule for the steal, and very detailed for this. And some rules were applied to Israel until today. Whoever steals an ox or sheep or slaughter it or sell it must pay back 5 head of cattle. pay back fine head. Those do not pay back hold the ox or sheep, must pay back the fine head. Why pay back fine head? And for sheep, for the sheep, but have a rule: if a thief is caught breaking in at night and is struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. But if it happened after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. The rule for the thief and the defender also. And in the night, the defender have a right to protect their property. And they were not guilty if they made bloodshed for the thief. But after sunrise, in the day, you can see the thief. You have not right to make them bloodshed. If you make the thief bloodshed, you have to be guilty. And have a restitution rule for stealer. They must pay for all their thieves. And if the stolen animal is found alive in their possession, whether ox or donkey or sheep, they must pay back double. Pay back double. The double payback rule. And have many other rules to guide the Israelis to live and protect the property. What's the lesson we can learn here? We can see God care about all detail of your life, and God just not care for your property. God want you open your heart to care for the others. Someone who steal and have a rule to make them pay back. But sometimes you need to care about your circumstance, and you need to care about yourselves